What is it, Oasis?
It is Oasis, yes. It's Champagne Supernova. So
I was about to say, it's Champagne Supernova. Yeah.
Oh, you actually got it then. So.
I did get it, yeah.
Not bad, Christ.
Hello, you are listening to Off Radar, It's a Movie podcast. I'm James Smith, a professional film and video editor.
I'm James Eatock, a freelance writer and illustrator specialising in 1980s cartoons.
And I'm Neil Brock, aka Nige, the man with two names, former film journalist and currently working in the games industry.
Each week, one of us picks a movie that all three of us either haven't seen in many years or in some cases haven't seen at all.
We each watch the chosen movie, return to the microphone and let you all know exactly what we thought of it.
I'd never really had any interest in watching it and I was proved absolutely right.
I think it's amazing. I really, really love this film.
The film's still a pile of steaming dog shit.
If you fancy joining in and suggesting a movie for us to watch, why not tweet us at Off Radar Podcast
or email us on offradarpod@gmail.com.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe, share, and by all means, leave a review.
For now, strap in, turn the volume up, and let's go Off Radar. Right, let's do Edgar. Are you ready, Nige?
Always, mate. Always. Ready for the right stuff.
Good. Hello. Welcome back to Off Radar. I am James Smith and joined by a sleepy, bleary-eyed James Eatock.
Hello.
Hello, Pete.
Hello.
And Neil Brock.
All right.
Nice.
So I did that, bit of Barrymore. All right.
Oh,
what
okay.
about?
Oh, I thought you were going to do I don't know. Yeah, something from Shaun of the Dead or something.
You can use the N-word if you want. That's in Shaun of the Dead.
I'll tell you what. We'll get to that in a second. That really surprised me because I watched that again recently.
We'll get into that, yeah.
We'll get into it. First of all, it is worth introducing what these episodes. So every now and again, we discuss actor or actress or director, and I have written down who we have done.
Cameron Diaz. Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did we do Leonardo DiCaprio?
We did do Leo. We've also done
Tom Hanks.
No.
Have we not done Tom Hanks?
We should, but we have not.
Emma Stone?
Emma Stone. We've done Matt Damon, Will Smith. Steven Spielberg, Johnny Depp, Michael J. Fox, Cameron Diaz, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, do you know what we should put on the list? David Fincher.
Oh, I'll put him on. I'll write it down because I'll forget as soon. In fact, I won't forget because I'm going to edit this. David Fincher, there you go, listener. Remember that. Tell us to do it. But today we are doing Edgar Wright, which was recommended that we do by our very own Neil Brock.
Who's that guy?
That guy.
Who's that? As Nigel would say, who's that dude? Who's that dude? Who's that dude?
But yeah, just very quickly, I'm going to read something directly off Wikipedia just to give you a very brief background of who Edgar Wright was, or is even. He's not dead, but unless he has died before we release this.
Oh, God.
We're going to start recording those for every podcast just in case.
Yes. Well,
it takes us that long to release one.
Well, yeah, if we do old people like Al Pacino, we should, because they're like, yeah. Anyway, Edgar Howard Wright was born in April 1974 in Poole, Dorset, and grew up predominantly in Wells, Somerset, which we will get to on one of the episodes, one of the films. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, he directed many short films, first on a Super 8 camera that was a gift from a family member, and later on a Video 8 camcorder that he won in a competition on the television programme Going Live.
There goes a bit of Nige's trivia. Thanks, Smith.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. That's awesome.
Oh, sorry.
Stop reading Wikipedia. It's all like,
okay, I'll stop reading anymore. But he basically went to Bournemouth University and studied in the College of Art and Design. I will stop reading there. I'll tell you what.
Better.
Because maybe it will, there'll be more trivia. But Edgar Wright, I guess, a starting point for all of us, I think we should all probably start with Spaced, which I don't know if I actually saw that first, but I might have even seen Shaun of the Dead before Spaced. However, I was quite late to Spaced, but I know
exactly when I watched Space, actually. I watched it in the second year of university. I got it on DVD So that would have been 2004, I believe.
Bloody hell, you guys were well. I've still got a clip because I was so excited for the series that was on The Big Breakfast.
Oh, wow.
I recorded a clip because it made me laugh so much. And it was the first clip from Space they showed. And they were like, this Friday on Channel 4 is a new series called Space. And they showed a clip from it. And it was the bit with,
you'll have to send me the clip and then I can.
Yeah, I've got it. I'll get it for you. But it's Simon Pegg and Jessica Stevenson. They're making a reference to Scooby-Doo, and he's like, "Yeah, I always wanted to be Fred," and she was like, "Yeah, I always wanted to be Daphne." And they go, "Yeah, look at us now," and the camera pulls back, and she's dressed like Velma, and he's dressed like Shaggy. It's such a, and I remember laughing so much at that scene.
I was just investigating.
Right. Playing Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I was always Daphne when I was little. Who are you?
Well, Freddie, obviously.
Freddie, yeah. Now look at us.
Spaced for my friends and I in 1999 to 2001, 2002-ish was like a religion.
Wow.
It was, I'm not joking, like we were obsessed with that. And also at that time, it's hard to, I bet if you showed Space to like the generation now, they wouldn't quite get it. But it was it was like, I lived in North London. I lived just up the road from like, not just up the road, but like it was a short drive through Crouch End. We went, my friends and I, as soon as we found out, we were like, let's go. We went to the Spaced House whilst, whilst they were. I went to it. I know exactly where it is on numerous times. But
and did they actually film in that property?
No. The exterior was the exterior, but I actually did. I remember I think it was about the early 2000s. They listed the actual apartment.
I remember, and it was for sale. Yeah,
it was like but someone who lived there in the actual apartment was like, it's not as nice as the TV show romanticizes it, obviously. But there's no Spaced was. It's so hard to say. Like Spaced made me fall in love with filmmaking. Like I was a big fan of film, obviously, like 1980s growing up, 1990s discovering like Tarantino, Rodriguez, and Kevin Smith. Even it was just like, I love this, and then eventually like Scorsese and stuff. But I was prior to that, it was like films were in the 80s just things I watched, and you start appreciating the names behind them and stuff. And Edgar Wright was someone that really, with Spaced, celebrated film with a TV series. It was the way I discovered Evil Dead 2. Like my friend was kept going on about, he was a big fan of Spaced as well, and he was like, the big poster of Evil Dead 2 that's in the flat in Spaced, and they did a whole a lot of the influences from the whip pans, a lot of Edgar Wright's style comes from Sam Raimi. It's so, I think Edgar Wright would openly admit that as well.
I was going to say, like on the second series DVD, and maybe on the first one, there's basically, you can turn it on that every time there's like a reference to something.
Oh, you're right.
It's like called the homage-o-meter or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I've still got those DVDs.
Yeah, I have as well. I feel like I caught it on like Channel 4 every now and again when it was first aired, and didn't really clock it or understand what it was, because I think it was the era when at 9 o'clock it was like Friends always used to be on, and then I think Space was on at like 9:30 or 10.
It was much later, yeah.
But I just remember sort of thinking I never really got it. And then, like similar to you, I was so into film, and I was a massive stoner at the time as well. And I would say
it must have been perfect for you.
Really, combine
at uni as well. It feels like a uni sort of film,
definitely.
Series. It's interesting what you were saying about the kind of whip pan thing, because obviously, he goes on to use this throughout his whole career.
Yeah.
But what he does in Spaced, in fact, what he does in all of it, is when he does these whip pans, quite often the sound effects that they'll use are like, not only that though, there will be like a car or a siren. It will be actually
all of his transitions are amazing.
Random. And one of the other like transitions he used in Spaced, which he then goes on to use in pretty much everything he does, is the walk across transition. So someone will walk across screen, and then it will mask around and then cut to another scene. But he uses that a lot more, I think, as he goes on in like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and all the rest of it, especially those three. But I want
to give a shout out to one specific episode of Space that made me kind of I mean, they said it on the commentary as well for this episode. I remember watching it.
It's going to be the zombie episode, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's the club. It's the one where they go clubbing.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the, like, if anyone, we've all been clubbing. We know exactly what the experience is like. Very sweaty, very loud, very messy, but like adrenaline kind of out the wazoo. The clubbing episode of Spaced is by far I'd say maybe Go comes close to challenging it, but Spaced does the best job at capturing the idea of being in a club. Like Daisy, Jessica Stevenson's character is at the cloakroom waiting to, she's like, oh, I'll put the coats, in the thing. So she's waiting there and everybody else is clubbing. And the music, the editing, it's one of those kind of moments where I think as a director, he owned it. It was just like, no one's going to do like justice to clubbing the way he did with that scene. It was fantastic. But when you watch that scene, it just makes you like, it used to make me want to go clubbing all the time because it's so it's so intense. Like I remember when I went to the Fatboy Slim Beach.
The one in Brighton.
Yeah, that was. I went to it was either the first year. It was so impromptu. Like my friend Jisha just messaged me and she was like, "Hey, we're going to go to Fatboy Slim. Do you fancy coming?" I was like, yeah, sure. So I went there, and it was insane. But one of the last tracks he played was blooming the club song from Spaced. So I was like, and the whole crowd went crazy. You like to think, I think we all know where this is, what this is coming from. It's like everybody went nuts, and it was fantastic. It was just like, what Edgar Wright was able to do with Spaced was capture. It's almost like a time capsule. You can look at that and go, that was life in London in the late 90s, early noughties. It's never going to be the same again, but that's exactly what it was like. I think it's almost like a perfect series. And going back to what Nige said, I think it did pass people by the first time around, kind of like The Office did.
It did definitely pass me by. I never really saw it, and maybe it was just like, I don't know, it was weird. Maybe it was just the time in my life where I never saw it, which is a weird thing to say because I think a lot of people actually went and found it after Shaun of the Dead and went back and kind of thought, I'm going to watch, Edgar Wright, or not actually Edgar Wright.
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, them becoming stars. But
no, I was going to say actually Edgar Wright probably wasn't actually that well known even after Shaun of the Dead. It was probably more Simon Pegg and
Simon
Nick
Pegg
Frost.
was the best. He was Simon Pegg was the best, like the most known. He'd already I think he'd been in a series of Big Train.
Big Train.
He was there was the one that my friends
Partridge episodes.
I was going to say my friends and I knew him from a cough syrup advert.
Oh right,
it's very niche, but it was funny. It was him on an advert for cough syrup, and it's just very well done. It was him like skiving off work fishing, and he's going, "I've got."
He's brilliant, isn't he? And
he's great.
I think it's also worth pointing out that he. Obviously, we're talking about Edgar Wright here, but he has co-written with Edgar Wright. He obviously did Spaced, but then going on to co-write Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz in particular together. So Shaun of the Dead came out in 2004 or 5.
2004.
2004, yeah. It was around that time we were joined.
Yeah, we joined
we were working at.
It was Victoria Phillips was in Shaun of the Dead. She was one of the zombies.
Was she? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, Tori was. I remember Tori saying like, "Oh yeah, I was on set and I was zombied up and."
No way. That's so cool. But obviously Edgar Wright wrote and directed Shaun of the Dead, and I've gone back and watched Shaun of the Dead a couple of weeks ago, which was really interesting to go back and watch this again. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But, obviously, like, we've got this very dry British humour. We've got zombies. We've got the whip pans and all of that kind of influences that have come through Edgar Wright's kind of love of film and filmmaking. And even in this, the homages to other stuff kind of come through. But at the centre of it is Simon Pegg and what Edgar Wright does, which he's not afraid to use same techniques, same cast, same writers. And some directors do that, and it's not always a good thing.
So, what's the plan? Right. We take Pete's car, we drive over to Mum's, we go in, take care of Philip. I'm so sorry, Philip. Then we grab Mum, we go over to Liz's place, hole up, have a cup of tea, and wait for all this to blow over.
I would say for the most part, I don't care for his movies at all.
Really?
At all.
Wow.
Shaun of the Dead.
This is quite a surprise, actually.
No, because I'm being honest.
This is good, yeah.
No, like I loved Spaced, and I love every time I've seen him interviewed, I think he's fantastic. He strikes me as like, I don't mean to disparage him, but like one of us. He's like a geek. He's a guy who relied on nothing.
Well. Yeah,
He's as nothing but his own talent got him to where he is. There was no like, silver spoon and anything like that. He worked his arse off to get to where he is.
So you're not a fan of Shaun of the Dead then?
I saw it at the cinema and I was just like,
Okay.
I did,
Have you seen it since? Or?
No, watched it once.
See, I can't remember if I saw it at the cinema, but
I wonder if it's this though, right?
I think it does. After watching it again, I would say the second half of the film is not as strong. I think,
yeah, agreed.
And
that's what I remember.
And I think actually that goes for the same with Hot Fuzz. I feel like the start of these films start really well, and Shaun of the Dead does a really brilliant job of doing, like, setting all the scene up and stuff.
Yeah.
But when we get into the kind of like, the story wise, it
runs out of ideas.
It does a little bit, and
I
but
think
it's still
a bit harsh, but I get what you mean. Yeah,
but it's I would still say it's a really enjoyable film for what it is. I think
that's the thing, and bear in mind what I'm saying. It's like Shaun of the Dead isn't my cup of tea, but I 100% understand why loads of people love it. I really do. And I think this may be, this is. I don't think this is going to be everyone in the same boat.
Yeah.
But I feel that when I saw Shaun of the Dead, it felt very much like, oh, well, I've seen all this before, because he'd done such a wonderful job of Spaced, and I still think it's some of the best directing I've ever seen.
You see, I did it the other way around, but I feel like even going back and watching Spaced recently, like very recently,
yeah,
and as great as that is, I would say that actually Shaun of the Dead, it benefits him from having that bit more budget to play with and being able to kind of realise those ideas in a film sense. And obviously when we go into Hot Fuzz and stuff, it gets even more, and the bigger kind of Hollywood films even more so. But going on to Hot Fuzz,
again, I saw that. I've seen all of his films at the cinema.
Right.
Hot Fuzz, I remember I thought it was a really, like, I liked the premise.
I love the idea, though.
It's like the Wicker Man. With, just like
Miss Marple.
Well,
I think
like
Edgar Wright said at the time he wanted to make Bad Boys 2 in the West Country.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's funny. So right at the beginning, I said he grew up in Wales. And 2 years ago, me and my wife, I can actually use that now. We went to Wales in the West Country, and that is where Hot Fuzz was all filmed.
Oh, wow, okay,
and
cool.
It's actually really interesting because where they film, the good thing, what they do, like what Edgar Wright does, if you're a fan of his work or not, is they actually film these films, at least the Cornetto Trilogy, they actually film them in real places. It's like a proper pub in Wales, in Somerset, or whatever.
Not like just studio somewhere, random location.
Exactly, like Shaun of the Dead. It's all very
Shaun of the Dead is North London.
Centric, and they shoot it all around London. Hot Fuzz is there, and then the World's End, I think they shot in like a home counties somewhere.
Yeah, I forget where that was filmed.
I think it might have been Hertfordshire somewhere. But anyway, we went to Wales, and it's just all tourists going around all of the kind of Hot Fuzz,
the Hot Fuzz experience.
The Hot Fuzz experience, and you can go into the Swan and see the pub, and it's amazing. When they walk through how it is just what do they call it, like summer.
Summerfield.
Summerfield, that's it. The supermarket where they change it. But actually, we went there and I didn't even realise Hot Fuzz was filmed there. But worth a visit. It's a lovely little village as well, or town.
Police Constable Nicholas Angel, born and schooled in London, graduated Canterbury University in 1993 with a double first in politics and sociology, attended Hendon College of Police Training, displayed great aptitude in field exercises, notably urban pacification and riot control.
like Shaun of the Dead, I really enjoyed at the time. I was a huge like George A. Romero fan. Obviously, he's spoken long and hard about how much he was influenced by that, and like him and Pegg and Nick Frost all had a cameo in one of the George A. Romero films after that. I can't even, Land of the Dead, maybe it was.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they're like in a mall and they're like chained up zombies and stuff. Wow. And I remember going to see that at the cinema as well. And obviously there was that big period where just like zombie things were so big. Like everyone was like zombies. And then Hot Fuzz, which I wasn't quite sure about the first time I watched it, but every watch since I've been like, you know what, actually this is really good. And I just like the silliness of it. And then at World's End I went to the cinema to see, and it was one of the biggest disappointments I've had at the cinema. I absolutely hated it. But then quite recently
I haven't rewatched that one.
I rewatched it on a flight on the way back from America quite recently, and it was, the ending is terrible, but it's a lot better than I remembered it being. Like, I actually really enjoyed it. Some like decent acting in it.
It's got a good cast.
Rosamund Pike's brilliant. There's a few people in it that are...
Is it Paddy Considine's in it?
Yeah, I was going to say Paddy Considine's, who I love as well.
Well, he's
the little guy. I forget his. I think Martin Freeman's in it.
Is he in Hot Fuzz?
Yeah, Martin Freeman. The guy, the British guy, is in like everything, and he's just really, really solid. Eddie Marsden.
Eddie Marsden, that's it.
Because they often, even like, you know, like Martin Freeman pops up in Hot Fuzz. He's like a chief inspector or something.
Yeah, he's like the opposites when it's
so they always use the same cast, even when it's bit cast. I love it. Shaun of the Dead. Sorry, we're going back and forth here. Shaun of the Dead. One of the best actors, I think, actually in it is what's her face, Dawn from The Office. In that, her performance.
Oh yeah,
she's great.
Black Book's
Lucy.
Yeah,
Lucy
Jasper Carrot's.
Lucy Davis.
Is that Jasper Carrot's daughter?
Have you ever heard that great interview?
Did you say it's Jasper Carrot's daughter?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, Lucy Davis is Jasper Carrot's.
The most mind blown.
There's a wonderful interview with her where someone said, "What made you change your name from Lucy? What made you change your name from your father's?" And she goes, "What made you think that his name was Jasper Carrot?" And I was like, "That's obviously his stage name."
God, yeah, I didn't even clock that.
I didn't. Eatock told me a couple of years ago, and it's one of those things where you're like, "Wow!" But her performance. I mean, the performance.
Yeah, she's great in like so many things.
And what's his name? Bill Nye pops up in all of them as well, doesn't he?
What's his name? Wilton as well from the Nescafe adverts, plays the mum. Was she in Nescafe adverts, or am I making that up?
I think she was. No, I don't know that. I don't know if I can't remember now. I know. I remember the Nescafe about.
I don't want to be a bother. Yeah, her.
Yeah.
She's in loads of stuff, and she's brilliant anyway. But yeah, if she wasn't in those adverts, she's so good that I think.
Oh God, who's the guy from Black Books?
Dylan Moran.
Yes.
Comedian, yeah.
I think one of the other things they do in these three films, what Edgar Wright does in these three films, is he centres it around, even though they're very different places. He centres it like in pubs, and like in
British.
Shaun of the Dead, it's
they're
like
all very
we
British.
go to the pub, but Hot Fuzz, it's like Nick Frost. Simon Pegg's character changes, so he's like a straight-laced policeman, but Nick Frost is like knocking back the beers, but all centres around the pub. And the World's End is obviously about. It's more of like. It's like a kind of nostalgia trip, isn't it, of a group of mates coming back together to do a pub crawl.
Yeah, and it's quite autobiographical, kind of said. And most of his stuff is, to be fair, but especially for World's End, a lot of the situations are based on people he knew and his own personal experiences. I imagine some of the stories are very much from that. And yeah, I remember speaking to my boss actually about it when it came out. My boss is maybe like 10 years older than me, and he said it was like the perfect encapsulation of like his youth. Like he was going out sort of boozing in the what is it, like the mid 80s kind of thing, or late 80s at least. And for me it was more like the late 90s, I suppose. So maybe he's like 15 years older, but regardless, it's just interesting. And he had a much bigger connection with the film. So maybe there's an element of that it's kind of aimed at that nostalgia.
I think for me, like with that film, I haven't gone back and watched it. I think it's probably the weaker of the three.
I think, like IMDb, for instance, I think it's significantly lower rated.
But I would say there is this thing about, like this kind of idea of going back to your hometown that does identify with people just in general, and he taps into that in Hot Fuzz as well, because it centers around kind of like that, kind of almost like where you come from, where you grow up, and that's in The World's End they go back and everything's changed, and we've all kind of done that in our life, where you have this nostalgic memory of going back with your mates, and you go back to an old pub, and you're like, actually, it's shit now, and sometimes it's only like a year after you've done it.
I've been to Leighton Buzzard with you and your mates.
I tried to take you on that nostalgia trip, Peter.
It's the Good Companions next. I always mix those two up.
Are you saying we move on to the next pub? Look, we should get in the Beast and head back to London.
My brake light is broken.
So don't use the brakes.
I'm way over the limit.
When's that ever stopped you?
I don't want to put any more points on Pete's license.
There's one thing I just want to jump on to what Nige said earlier. There's one thing I want to jump on. Nige said that, the films are very like British, and they kind of celebrate their Britishness. And you guys have been obviously speaking about pubs and stuff. Shaun of the Dead is like such a popular movie in America. Like, Americans love Shaun of the Dead.
It did actually come out it came out in March in the UK, and then came out in like September. So it had, I think they struggled maybe to get like distribute right. I think was it Studio Canal did it in the UK.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And I think obviously that word of mouth, the buzz, the fact that zombies suddenly became this big thing. I imagine like 28 Days Later wasn't long. After? I think it was after.
It would have been a similar time, wasn't it? Yeah.
28 Days Later, there was a Dawn of the Dead remake I remember seeing at the cinema.
Oh, with Sarah Polley, which is much better than it had any right to be.
Yeah,
so.
it was surprising. Ving Rhames was in it as well.
Ving Rhames, yeah.
28 Days Later was 2002, so it was a little bit earlier.
Was it really?
Oh, wow, so there you go.
So I would have said 2003
the other way around. And obviously, like Resident Evil being a huge game, I imagine the Resident Evil films probably came out quite early, noughties sort of time.
Yeah, definitely, with older Mila Jovovich. But yeah, obviously, those three films, the famed Cornetto Trilogy, were interrupted by one movie that I think we've talked about this before.
We have spoken about this a little bit, yeah.
I disliked this movie the first time I saw it. I was like, this is a crock of shit. And then subsequently fell in love with it, which is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
It's in my top 3 films I've ever seen at the cinema, without doubt. And I think I put it in my top films of the noughties when we did that pod many moons. I think it might be my number 1 of the noughties.
It may well have been. It's weird because I've only ever seen it once at the cinema, and I saw it with Fairless, and I think I didn't get on with it that well, but after hearing what you said, Eatock, that I would like to see it again, because I at the time I felt, this is literally just like a style over substance.
Well, I always remember like you guys the following day having seen it, Fairless said to you or said to me, like Fairless said, Eatock's going to love this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see, because I'd seen the trailers or the trailer, and I was just like, this looks great. And I remember watching the movie and just thinking like, I can't get this movie.
Freeze! Vegan police! Vegan police! Todd Ingram, you're under arrest for veganity violation. Code number 827. Imbibing a half and half.
It's Bullroar.
No vegan diet, no vegan powers.
But it's only my first offense, so don't I get 3 strikes?
Take it. At 12:27 a.m. on February 1st, you knowingly ingested gelato.
Gelato isn't vegan.
It's milk and eggs, bitch.
And then I got it on Blu-ray, and I thought, like, it's one of the first Blu-rays I bought. I thought, like, I'll get it just to have a look at the sound of like the extras. I remember like watching it and just thinking like, oh my God, I love this movie.
The cast loved it. Like they all they've still got like an email chain and a group that still chats. And during COVID, they did like a read through as well, just getting all the cast back together. And bear in mind, like the cast list for that was insane. At the time, a lot of them would say less known, even like Audrey Plaza,
Chris Evans.
Anything. But you've got Chris Evans. You've obviously got
Michael Cera was probably less known back then, I guess.
Michael Cera, of course. You've got none other than Captain Marvel herself as well.
Yeah, Brie Larson.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick's in it. Alison Pill wasn't so big. Like Brandon Ruth, obviously Superman. You've got Jason Schwartzman as like the bad guy who had
Kieran Culkin.
Who's
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who's now bizarrely
in it,
married to Ewan McGregor.
And it's worth pointing out that Edgar Wright directed, wrote and produced this film, and most of the films that he's made, actually he's a director and writer, so he is like an auteur. But
so which cast member of Scott Pilgrim as well did he date for 6 years?
Who? Edgar Wright?
Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick.
Really?
Oh, was I right?
Yeah, Edgar
Wow.
Wright. Sorry, you're going to say something else, Smith, but I just thought I'd throw that in there.
No, I was just going to say, but there was another film in between this and The World's End which he wrote, but he did not direct, which was
Tintin?
a bit of a surprise. Yeah, Tintin. The Adventures of Tintin, which was co-written with Joe Cornish, who is...
I thought Joe Cornish directed it, and then he didn't, did he? And like Spielberg was heavily involved with it as well. I remember that. I saw that at the cinema, and I saw it at the cinema with my partner in like Hackney. And unfortunately, when we went to see it, there was a chap, I think, who was between homes who did not smell good at all. That cinema did not.
Sorry about that, Nige. I was, in fairness, I was sat right next to you both. So
I know, and you kept licking my face as well.
You could have shown a bit more respect.
I thought it was like
obviously
snowy, but it was
Simon Pegg and
my face.
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost come back into this film, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But they're the twins that...
the Thompson twins.
Yeah, because at one point they were talking about Simon Pegg maybe playing Tintin, but he was obviously too old. Because they always thought he looked like Tintin, Simon Pegg.
Yeah, because he had his little spiky hair, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, that was like one of the early kind of... what do you call it? Uncanny Valley, like CGI-driven films, where
a bit like Polar Express.
Polar Express, that's the one I was thinking of. Where it's
I think it looks less weird than Polar Express, but it's
100%.
Definitely.
I worked on the Blu-ray of Tintin. So I saw Tintin at the cinema, and then I worked on the Blu-ray, which means I had to watch the film about 3 or 4 times. And so, but oddly, I can't remember much about it at all.
I mean, I used to love the cartoon as a kid.
Oh, the cartoon and the books were fantastic.
They've all not aged well in terms of like being PC.
Oh,
but
really?
I think,
yeah.
like when I went to Singapore with Helen, and there was a Tintin shop there.
Really?
Yeah, like it's big. I mean, it's very like British influence, but obviously, like Tintin's Belgian, isn't he? So
yeah, of course.
And Helen got me for our 10-year wedding anniversary. She got me a Tintin shirt. And the reason being, the material for your 10-year, like, your golden wedding anniversary, diamond, all that stuff, for 10 years, it's tin. So she got the Tintin.
Good.
So,
wow.
So
what did the shirt have? Like one of Tintin's racist like slogans or something?
No, it's got the red rocket, the red and white from Tintin in Space or whatever it is.
Tintin goes to the moon, and Tintin
goes to the moon. That's it.
The two Tintin books in space, space related, are so fantastic. They turned it into an Amiga computer game in the early 90s.
Oh wow.
It was great. So sorry about the Tintin
Tintin tangent.
Tintin tangent.
But there was one other film he wrote as well around this time, which was just after The World's End, Ant-Man. But
he was supposed to direct it.
He was supposed to direct
it.
Yeah.
So who directed that?
Man. And Paul Rudd basically signed up to do that film because he was good mates with Edgar Wright, and basically said, "Oh, let's make this film together." And then the studio got involved, and I'm sure Eatock knows a lot more about this than I do.
No, I was going to say, from what I remember,
Peyton Reed directed it.
I think he started directing because there's a couple of scenes in Ant-Man that are 100% Edgar Wright.
Oh, right.
And one of them, bear in mind, I've only ever seen Ant-Man once, but one of the, or maybe twice, one of the scenes I remember in the cinema, me and my friend going like, "That's definitely Edgar Wright," is a scene where one of the characters is retelling a story about how he found out some information, and as he's doing the narration, his voice is all the characters. So there, in other words, he's dubbing them all.
Where is Scott Lang?
Oh, see, that's complicated. Because when I first met Scotty, he was in a bad place. And I'm not talking about Cell Block D. His wife had just filed for divorce. And I was like, "Damn, homie, she dumped you when you're on lockup?" And he was like, "Yeah, I know. I thought I was going to be with her forever. But now I'm all alone." And I was like, "Damn, homie, you know what? You got to chin up because you'll find a new partner. But you know what? I'm Luis." And he says, "You know what? I'm Scotty. And we're going to be best friends."
Okay, hold on. I like a good story as much as the next person, but what in the hell does this have to do with where Scott Lang is?
I'm getting there.
I feel like, I'm sure Edgar Wright started the movie, or at least maybe he storyboarded or oversaw some stuff.
He was an exec producer on it, and he also, obviously,
if I showed you the scene, you'd go like, "That's..."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, so in 2017, he said, "The most diplomatic answer is I wanted to make a Marvel movie, but I don't think they really wanted to make an Edgar Wright movie."
No, of course not.
Having written all my other movies, it's a tough thing to move. That's a tough thing to move forward. Suddenly becoming a director for hire on it, you're sort of less emotionally invested, and you start to wonder why you're there, really. As you mentioned, replaced by Peyton Reed, and then Adam McKay and Paul Rudd rewrite a lot of elements of the screenplay. And in the end, Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish received both screenplay and story credits, with, as you said there, Wright as executive producer. But yeah, it would have been very interesting to see, and I do feel like, there are elements of his style in that. But we've discussed, haven't we, previously on other pods, how like Sam Raimi has obviously done Marvel films, and certainly for the Doctor Strange film that he did, like Thingy of Madness or whatever it's called, he kind of, he didn't betray his roots, but you can tell he was very much steered away from probably what he wanted to do.
Yeah, like Edgar Wright. I mean, that was the danger of going to do a studio movie, like for a Marvel studio. It's you're a director of hire, but you have to work within the Marvel vision, as it were, which, as we can see now, has really paid off with a bunch of box office bombs. But yeah, at least after that, he kind of got back to doing what he does best, which is his own stuff. Again, I'm not a fan of this movie, but I know Nige loves it. Baby Driver.
I'm not a fan of this movie either. I felt like just before we get to Nige saying how brilliant it is. Well, maybe you won't, but for me, this felt like an hour and a half music video that I basically watched, and as cool as it was, I was quite bored.
The premise is really good. The premise and the gimmick of. Like I was like, oh, I'm in, and there are a few moments in the first 10 minutes where I was like, oh, I love Edgar Wright as a director, and then it soon descended into like, oh my goodness, it lost me. Like I watched the whole thing, but I thought some of the cast were like really miscast as well. Like you got John Hamm, you've got
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
Oh, yeah, Jamie Foxx. Kevin Spacey.
Good old Kevin Spacey.
What's the lead guy called? I've not really seen him in
that well known.
Ainsley Harriott.
Ainsley Elgort. And it's got Lily James in as well.
Lily James, that's right.
I'd love to see Ainsley Harriott as the lead, but he's the lead. What's he gone on to do?
He was in West Side Story, the Spielberg remake.
He's been in Divergent, which was
Tokyo Vice as well.
He's been in a few things, but you're right, he isn't that well known. But Nige, what did you think of this film?
Yeah, sing the praises, Nige.
So I went to the cinema to see this with Helen, and I remember quite enjoying it. And I actually watched it today in preparation of this pod because I hadn't seen it since. And I actually looked back on my IMDb rating that I gave for it. I actually gave it a 7, and I think that's probably about fair. I agree with what you're saying, Eatock. Like, it feels miscast. Like, there's some absolutely brilliant scenes in it. I really loved how they used the music as part of his own soundtrack. And they explain it.
When
he's in a car crash when he's a kid, and he's got tinnitus. And as a sufferer of tinnitus as well, I know what it's like to kind of want to drown that out a little bit. But I think I've even got the soundtrack on vinyl. Like, it's a really powerful soundtrack. But the characters in the film are so cartoonish, except from the lead and Lily James, I would say. It kind of goes a bit all over the place. I agree, like John Hamm seems very strange in it. Jamie Foxx's character is just really fucking annoying. I actually think Kevin Spacey's really good in it, and I'd forgotten. I thought he was the one that screws him, and it's all that kind of stuff, and I was really taken aback when I watched it again, and that doesn't really happen. But yeah, Edgar Wright's style is really strong. Some of the chase scenes are incredible, and there's a foot sort of chase scene as well towards the end. And when they were filming this, they were basically over budget, and the studio was like, you can't do the scene, you've not got any money. And he took a big cut in his salary, Edgar Wright, because he was like, this is my vision, I want to actually do this. And the film cost 34 million, made 227.
Wow!
So it actually was a big success.
That's a big...
Yeah, definitely. And kind of lent him on to kind of have a bit more sway. And we'll go on to say he hasn't done many other films since. But yeah, I think it's a really solid film that has his influences, especially with music, as we kind of discussed with Scott Pilgrim and some of his other films, even that iconic scene in Shaun of the Dead with Queen in it when they got the pool cues,
with the bashing in the pub. Yeah. It goes on for a bit long, but yeah.
It's still great. But yeah, it's Edgar Wright film without doubt.
With music, it's interesting because actually a film I haven't seen, I don't know if you guys have, so he actually does a documentary next which is called The Sparks Brothers, which is a music...
Sparks are huge.
Sparks are amazing.
Which is a music documentary film, but have you seen...
I've heard the documentary is incredible. I've never seen it. I've heard it's amazing.
I've heard it's really good. I've never really listened to Sparks' music. I know everyone talks about them.
This town ain't big enough for the both.
That's the only song I know.
Oh right, they do that.
But yeah, they're almost seen as a cult iconic band from the 80s. There's a Guardian Thursday quiz that used to, every week one of the questions was just related to Sparks, basically, because the writer was that in love with Sparks.
That's awesome.
So
I could imagine a documentary by Edgar Wright being really interesting as well, because
I think I may have seen bits of it, because it's like my friend was like, she saw it at maybe the Prince Charles, and she was like, it's really fun good.
Well, maybe we should put it on the pod at some point and do another
Well, it's interesting that like we mentioned quite early on about like Tarantino, and like Tarantino and Edgar Wright are good friends. He directed like the trailer for, was it like they did Grindhouse.
The Grindhouse, yeah.
So Edgar Wright did the trailer is a fake trailer within that film.
What was it for?
It was called Don't, and it was part of like
right,
Grindhouse.
Yes.
So,
don't.
but yeah, so he's really big friends with Tarantino. He's also big friends with Guillermo del Toro, also Peter Jackson. And obviously Peter Jackson, we discussed in a previous pod how he kind of stopped making films and went on to do documentaries. I wonder if there was any influence from Peter Jackson getting him to do the documentaries. But there was influence the other way around, where Edgar Wright actually said that for The Hobbit, he basically sort of pushed Martin Freeman on Peter Jackson, said, you should really consider this guy, and that's why he got the role. So obviously they have influence over each other, so who knows whether that was part of the reason why he did Sparks.
That's really interesting, because I mean Scorsese as well, he did a documentary called The Last Waltz, which was a 70s film, right? So it does show you that, you know, with Peter Jackson, Edgar Wright, you know, like these directors, like when they transition into documentary or vice versa, you know, how interesting it is to like go between documentary and drama and be just as successful.
Random bit of trivia: the director for the awesome Gene Wilder Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, he was a director. Like, sorry, start again. He was a documentary maker.
Oh right, I did not know
he was
that.
a piece of chocolate.
No. So if you look at some of the scenes in that amazing film, it is shot like a documentary. Yeah. Like there are scenes at a factory. There are the way, like there's a lot of scenes, you know, when they're doing the whole hunt for the golden ticket, where it's shot like a documentary.
Like a newsreel type interviews.
And they said that the guy was a documentary maker first and foremost, and then he was, you know, they gave him this gig to direct a film, and I mean, like, I love that movie, but this isn't the Gene
It's not
Wilder
the Willy Wonka podcast, but
although it should be.
After this, we go to the last film that he's made at this point, Last Night in Soho.
Last film that's released at this point.
Very fair to say. Which I thought was a really interesting film.
Did you recommend it to me, or did I recommend it to you?
It was one of the way. I only watched it like a year ago. Like, it was not long ago anyway.
Because I think I saw it. So I didn't actually see this at cinema. I saw it on, because I think it came out during the whole COVID thing. Or there was a lot of limitations. Not exactly in a rush to go to the cinema. So I remember seeing this on Sky.
I think you recommended it to me.
Yeah, I think I did. And it felt like a bit of a return to. I thought it was a very original film.
Yes,
you know, it probably isn't when you boil it down, but I thought it was a very original film. But I thought the thing that I loved about this movie was that it felt like a real kind of Edgar Wright movie or project, because it's celebrating filmmaking and what you can do with it. Like, I felt that, you know, and again, I understand why people love a lot of his movies, but for me, his TV style, Spaced, is always going to be like the top of the mountain. But this felt like him kind of going back into that realm of experimental filmmaking.
And are we meeting a gentleman this evening?
We are not.
Oh, so Madame is alone?
I am.
Well, again, it's kind of harping back to London. It's presenting London again in two different time periods. It's not just, the 1950s, and then also like the 80s as well, I think.
I think it's the 80s, but again, I think...
Yeah, it's Thomasin McKenzie. I can't really pronounce her name. She's the lead in that.
And Anna Taylor-Joy, and they make them look very similar in it. But I think you're right. There's
and Diana Rigg as well, of course.
Diana Rigg, one of her last roles.
Once again, this kind of play on nostalgia, but flipping between these different versions of Soho, and
I love it. It makes London look amazing.
It's really,
it's brilliant.
Like the neons and the reds, and it's very well done.
But what I loved about that movie, soundtrack's incredible. Like I think I told Nige, I told Smith before. Like, one of my favourite scenes is when she ends up in like the the cabaret show where it's the girls dressed up like little dolls with keys in their back, and they're basically performing for a bunch of like old men, like, you know, in a club, like a strip club. Yeah, but that scene is amazing. They do a puppet on a string, and it's that
like a puppet on a string.
So it's the 60s, isn't it? It kind of
it's 60s. But what I love about that scene is it's Edgar Wright doing something so creative of like having, you know, one character of her like in the audience and like her kind of, you know, what do you call it, almost like telepathic double on stage as one of the dancers. But I told Smith I can't remember how I ended up doing it, but I messaged the lead dancer in that scene. I was just like, I really loved like that scene in the film, because I think it's a scene that kind of steals the movie. And she replied, and she was like, I think we struck up a friendship after that and just chat every once in a while. I forget the character's name. It was
I can't remember. It's been a while, but I
thought that was
No, I was just gonna say I really enjoyed watching that. I think it was original again. Like, you know, the one thing, if you like Edgar Wright's films or not, like generally up until this point, you know, he has chosen to do fairly original content that he's wrote and directed, like overall. And I think, you know, you can only respect that in a world where he could quite easily take on plenty of Hollywood films and basically sell out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that,
until
because
now.
It's his latest film, yeah. I was just going to say quickly about sort of Last Night in Soho as well. It's also got Mrs. Doyle from Father Ted in. So
is she in it?
I cannot
she
remember.
She plays the girl's mum when she's at home before she goes away to
home,
university.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right.
But yeah, like obviously something we actually touched upon during the Running Man podcast. So again, another old episode you can go back and listen to, is I said during that Edgar Wright had been like looking at it, and when he was asked if there was any film that you could kind of remake or reboot or whatever, what would it be? And he said The Running Man, because it's based on a short story by Stephen King. And the Arnie film was obviously made in that 80s period where like brash colours TV
deviates from the book,
deviates heavily from the book, and he wanted to do something that was a bit more of a homage. And to be honest, Edgar Wright strikes me as the sort of person that probably loved Arnie films from the 80s and didn't want to do any disrespect to them, but just wanted to put his own spin on it. Now, I know you two watched the trailer, and you didn't say totally fantastic things, but I feel like it's kind of, the marketing these days is done in such a way for the generation that probably doesn't know what The Running Man is, and probably or isn't that familiar with that, or maybe even Arnie's film.
Also, Nige, it's that trailer that does what every bloody trailer
exactly
does.
That's why they've done it.
It's like, do we have to have every musical beat timed to a scene change? It's just so.
It has got a really good cast though. William H. Macy.
I don't even want to know. Spoilers, mate.
Oh, fine. I won't say.
Wait, I'll take my headphones out and you guys can say. One sec. Go ahead.
Okay.
So Glenn Powell is the lead, and then
I don't know who he is.
I didn't.
I recognise him in stuff.
No, I didn't. But
you can wave at me when you start.
Okay, he was in Expendables 3, Spy Kids 3D, Fast Food Nation. He's actually not a massive star, but I was thinking more about William H. Macy, Emilia Jones, Michael Cera, Daniel Ezra. Like there's some good supporting cast, but it would be really interesting.
This is the longest cast list ever.
It's all right. You can come back in.
Yeah, we're done.
Come back now.
But it'd be really interesting because
John Cena's in it.
That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
But it'd be really interesting because the thing is, like we said with The Running Man, you know, the one we've done, the charm about that film is Arnie, really. So
of course,
you know, with this, it's really hard to even imagine a film being remade without him in it. But I guess it's just got to be its own identity and its own film, and at least Edgar Wright will do that.
I think it'll be decent.
Yeah,
even after a potentially not very good trailer, I've still got high.
Trailers, as we've said. You know, trailers can manipulate. Well, the whole point of a trailer is to manipulate you into going to see a movie.
Very true.
So even if a trailer is like, the film may be good. I think people have discovered that with the new Superman movie. It's like the people were looking at the trailer going like, but a lot of people coming away from that going like, that's not half bad. You know.
Right. I thought it had pretty bad reviews, to be honest. But
maybe
I'm just not interested in seeing it.
No, me too. Just like, I'm done.
Fair enough. Apparently, Arnie is fully on board. So there you go, but I don't know what that means because he does.
So he's going to make a cameo.
He does loads of shit films anyway. So
this is true.
I don't think that really matters. He can feed his donkeys in the house and smoke his cigars.
There's one other thing I was going to say that Edgar Wright starred in his short. If you look on Wikipedia in his short movie section, I only noticed this. He's in a 1988 short as a voice, and the short is named "Rolf Harris Saves the World."
No way.
Yeah, there you go. I've never seen it. And bear in mind, I used to be a huge fan of Rolf Harris.
Still are, aren't
obviously, you? I can't lie that I'm a fan of what he did before. Just like I could say I'm a big fan of Kevin Spacey and what he did. But then,
all the animals he saved, for God's sake.
I know. For me, it's how he opened my eyes into the world of animation.
Well, yeah, that as well.
Yeah.
So
Mrs. Doyle didn't play her mother in that film. I can't remember who she played.
Sorry,
maybe she's one of the characters. She's the owner of the pub. That's what it is.
So she is in it.
Oh yeah. So, but it wasn't her mum, because her mum dies at the start. Anyway, doesn't matter.
One question, this is probably a kind of no Eatock's answer straight off. What would you say is your favourite work, but also maybe his what I can't even remember what the question is normally.
So normally you ask what's the best performance. So in this case, what's his best directed film, and what's the best film you like the most? I think of the two.
Yeah, I can still answer that.
Yeah, Eatock, you kick us off then.
Okay.
So you like the most Space?
Obviously, like Spaced, I like the most. But in terms of if I was to look at his film body of work, I would probably say Scott Pilgrim. It's the thing that I just think there's something really magical about that film that visually, I just don't. It is an amazing movie visually and the audio. Yeah. You could maybe criticise the script and stuff, but I don't think any other. I think very few directors could do Scott Pilgrim versus the World. What he did was just something really magnificent. And like I say, the problem I have with Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, is that those three of the Cornetto Trilogies, it's called, just felt like a bit of a rehash of his stuff in Space. But I just want to clarify, he's one of those people in life that, whenever I've seen him interviewed and stuff, I just wish him nothing but success. I'd love for every film he makes to be successful. And I'm, while this The Running Man movie doesn't really appeal to me, I'm like, no, I still want it to succeed for him. And like Nige says, maybe it'll be good because it's in the hands of someone we trust as a movie maker. But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is, I think, my favourite movie of his. What was the question, Smith? The favourite movie and the favourite?
Directing.
Like the best directing, I guess.
I think Scott Pilgrim for both.
Yeah.
Easily.
Fair enough. Nige, what would you say?
Well, I was just looking on IMDb at the ratings of his films. So he's got 3 films. So Sparks Brothers and Hot Fuzz, actually 2 films that have a 7.8, and then you've got a 7.9, which is Shaun of the Dead. Now for me, it's his 7.5. Scott Pilgrim, similar to Eatock. I just love that film so much, and it's kind of, again, it's one of those films that I won't watch very often because I want to savor it and only watch it when I really want to watch it, kind of thing. But I've got a lot of time for all of his films. Really, I feel like his styles matured a little bit. I would say definitely. Certainly for Last Night in Soho, especially, and Baby Driver. Watching that again today, in terms of being an actual director and some of the choreography of those crazy big scenes, he must have you compare the set pieces, I guess, for Shaun of the Dead. Yes, you probably had a lot of extras and stuff like that, but you compare that with some of the car chase scenes and even that running chase scene in Baby Driver. I think Baby Driver is really, really accomplished in that sense as well. So
enough.
I just think he's good, and I like nearly all of his films.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I would say my favourite is probably Shaun of the Dead. I think the fact that it's kind of grounded in that kind of Britishness, I really appreciate it for that.
Yeah.
Style-wise, although, like I say, I'm not a fan of the film, but I wouldn't mind watching it again, so maybe I'll reserve judgment. But I agree with you guys, from a directing style, to transition into Hollywood, which is kind of what he's done with Scott Pilgrim. That was his point, to go to America and work with a very different cast, a very different set of people, and, all the rest of it. Different writer as well, not with Simon Pegg for the first time. It's an incredible achievement. But one last thing I would say is, I like the fact that this guy works on films that he just wants to make. He's not trying to please people or a studio.
Yeah.
Well, he's a bit like Kevin Smith in that way.
Yeah.
Although I'd say Kevin Smith has kind of not betrayed his own thing, but done a lot more for other people in recent times. But when you look at Kevin Smith, he was literally a filmmaker that wanted to make films for himself. Like, I just want to make the projects that I want to make. Because Kevin Smith, after Clerks, was offered like numerous films. He's like, no, I'm going to do, my next film is Mallrats. Then I'm going to do Chasing Amy, which is still one of my favourite movies.
And then Dogma? Was it after that?
And then Dogma, Dogma. And then he did. Then he started to go in a different thing. But yeah, Edgar Wright, I think, retains that independent filmmaker status, even though he's been doing of late, or he's going to be doing The Running Man.
He almost did a Marvel film, So
very good point. Yeah,
he did also exec produce Attack the Block, which was Joe Cornish's film. Which
I still have not seen.
Oh man, it's definitely worth watch.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Do you want a bit of trivia?
Oh God, yeah. I forgot about trivia. Give us some.
Of course, there's always trivia. Smith was ready to wrap us up. No.
I need to get out of this hot room.
Sorry. So some of the films that Edgar Wright has said are his most influential and kind of changed his life. American Werewolf in London. He also mentioned Evil Dead 2, which we've mentioned a few times. Raising Arizona, and then there's a few others as well, like from different periods. Run Lola Run, which is a film that's another one we could do for this pod quite easily. Dirty Harry, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Hard Boiled. And The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, wow.
So,
great choices. Yeah,
I think he is someone that strikes me, like Tarantino, probably has like a massive...
Loves film.
Yeah, massive DVD collection, Blu-ray collection.
He's got a Criterion collection in there as well,
Almost certainly. So it's really...
I guarantee Edgar Wright has Laserdisc.
Have you ever watched that YouTube channel, the Criterion thing, where they go into the
Criterion
and pick different films?
I saw Ben Affleck was on an episode recently. I was like, it's Benny Boy.
Anyway.
Benny Boy!
I bet Edgar Wright's done that.
So I was going to say about how he won a Super 8 camera, but Smith stole my glory. There's something else that links him to the 1980s, which I found was a marvellous bit of trivia, if I do say so myself. So in 1995, he made a low-budget independent spoof western, A Fistful of Fingers, which we haven't discussed as part of this. It's basically like a college film almost, but it was actually picked up for a limited theatrical release and broadcast on Sky Movies. Like Edgar Wright's almost like he's not disowned the film. He doesn't think it's great. He said it's basically like a not a kid's film, but something he did at that time. It actually caught the attention of Matt Lucas and David Williams, who then got him to direct a Paramount comedy channel production, Mash and Peas. And then it kind of from there he did like a Bill Bailey show, Alexi Sale show, etc. And then eventually obviously got to make Space. But one thing I loved about this low budget independent spoof western, which is available for free on YouTube, as all great films are, it features none other than Jeremy Beadle playing himself as part of the film. Like Beadle comes along and it's almost like haha, like Beadle's about type thing, like it's his like horse dies and then it comes back alive and it's Jeremy Beadle being like we pretended your horse died, and then he gets shot in the balls by the main character, and that's the end of Jeremy Beadle being in this film.
Is it somewhat ironic that it's called A Fistful of Fingers when Jeremy Beadle is known for was known for having a very tiny
I did
hand?
wonder that, but I only watched the 2 second
that feels really harsh.
I don't think so. Well, Beadle signed up to do it and played himself. I'm sure maybe knew some. I don't know how he got into it, but I just thought it was quite interesting.
No, that's a good little fact, Nige. I like that.
He's a good friend. We spoke about all the directors he's friends with. He's also friends with Garth Jennings, who did Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Son of Rambo, also like Sing and Sing 2. And Garth Jennings always has cameos in his films, and Edgar Wright always has cameos in sort of Garth Jennings films. So he's actually in Hitchhikers, Son of Rambo, etc. And Jennings is in Shaun of the Dead and stuff like that. So it's quite interesting that there's another British connection. He also got offered to direct Doctor Who, the episode Rose, but turned it down in 2005 because he was busy doing, it was released in 2005 because he was already doing Shaun of the Dead. And he actually directed one single shot of Star Trek Into Darkness, apparently, which I'm not sure.
I know this.
Yeah, he featured the Klingons on Kronos, apparently. He did. And he also got Simon Pegg to turn down a role in Dog Soldiers. So that would have been Simon Pegg's almost like his first proper film role, I think. But Wright really wanted Pegg's first role in a horror film to be Shaun of the Dead. So that's why he got him to turn it down. So I found that quite interesting. And then a couple of almost like Baby Driver bits of trivia. So he once parked his car in a parking garage only to realise, complete accident, coincidence, whatever you want to call it, the car next to him had a stylised baby on board sign, with the baby being the baby from Baby Driver, which is the name of the main character played by Ansel Elgort in that. And so Edgar Wright just left a note on the windscreen basically saying, from the director of Baby Driver, I approve, and like signed his name. It must have been so weird to come back to like, why some weirdo left a note on my windscreen? It's
exactly.
From the director of Baby Driver. Is that actually true? What is this madness? But yeah, I bet that was quite interesting. And then I don't know if you remember from the film, there's a really sort of funny scene, I guess, where they're doing like a armoured car robbery. And they say, as part of the plans, okay, we'll need like Mike Myers Halloween mask kind of thing. And they go out and buy, basically, that's what it was supposed to be. But Edgar Wright had to get that cleared by like all the lawyers and stuff. And they said, you can't get legal permission. So he then reached out to Mike Myers, the comedian, and said, can we just use like Austin Powers mask instead? And he thought it was so funny that he let him do it. So
that's such a great
why
gag,
you've got like Mike Myers mask in it. And then last bit of trivia, we mentioned he dated
Anna Kendrick
for a bit. He's also rumoured to have dated Charlotte Hatherley, who was formerly the guitarist in Ash, the band Ash, with Tim Wheeler and co. And apparently he said in a Sunday Times newspaper interview that Shaun of the Dead was actually a long apology to my ex-girlfriend saying, I'm sorry I was useless. So, and people kind of say maybe when he was in a relationship with her. But I mean, for God's sake, Edgar Wright's made all these films, written all this stuff. He doesn't strike me as the sort of bloke who sits around playing computer games. Then he also loves Resident Evil and games like that. So maybe he did a little bit. Who knows? But either way, so yeah. That's a bit of Edgar Wright's love life to finish on.
Lovely way to finish. And yeah, what's your favourite Edgar Wright film, guys? Get in touch. Email us on offradarpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at offradarpodcast. Yeah, give us another actor or director to talk about. Yeah, and we'll speak to you next time. Do you fancy sending us a film to review or letting us know your thoughts on a film that we have discussed? All of your comments will be read out in our end of season leaderboard episode. Email us on offradarpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at offradarpodcast. Message us on Facebook. All links and info in the description down below.
Do it! Do it!